explaining how this works, but so the reason that it's honey drops, by the way, for the channel points on this channel is because I run an amateur esports team. I help manage it. I own the brand. And that is called B Sports, because we don't play esports, we play B Sports. And so there are various teams under that umbrella. There's the Honey B Sports, there's Killer B Sports, there's Bumble B Sports, etc. So the reason that my channel icon is a bee and that my channel points are honey drops is because everything's bee themed around here because of that esports org that I own. But to start the commentary for the VOD, hello, my name is Crimson, and if your name isn't Rocket, you are watching this because it's a VOD, and if it's a published VOD, that means it was a world record. So congratulations to me 3 hours from now. I am a Diablo 4 campaign speedrunner, and this is a speedrun of the Diablo 4 campaign with the Barbarian class. Presumably, if you're watching this, you're either a tremendous speedrun fan or a Diablo 4 player who found me on the speedrun.com leaderboards, so welcome. I will try and explain a little bit of the tech and decisions that we make throughout the run, but just know that in general there's not a whole lot of major sequence breaking that can happen. There's a little bit of animation canceling and exploitation of the spell Leap that we can use, but for right now, just know that the main strategy is go fast. There are some things that we will be doing with itemization strategies or with decisions we make surrounding our tempers that will end up being important later on in the run. But just know that for now, our main goal is just go fast. You'll also notice that I preemptively open my skill menu here, and that's because the very first skeleton that I hit, wherever it is inside this dungeon, is going to give me level 3, and that will let me put a point in charge. So since I know where that will happen, I go ahead and open the skill menu so I can put the point in charge and use the spell as quickly as I possibly can. As we continue throughout this dungeon, just know that these Ice Howl ruins leading up to the boss Exval are not like an especially impactful portion of the split here. One thing that is important though is that we are about to take the only optional combat that we will take in the entire dungeon. That's it right there. And it's because we're trying to accumulate just the correct amount of XP and no more, such that we hit level 4 in a fight that we're going to have in a minute. Hopefully I have timed it just correctly and aimed for the correct amount of XP, and I'll be able to impress you guys with my forethought. I execute it successfully about 80% of the time. Now we're going to go into the first mini-zone boss. This is the tutorial dungeon, so we're going to kill our buddy Exval here. Hopefully you guys are having a lovely and wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Rocket, of course, knows that that is a phrase I have borrowed from my friend and fellow Diablo 4 streamer Spiritsy. So that's a decent split to Exval. The best possible split is probably a few seconds faster than that, but hey, we'll take 10 seconds in a 3-minute segment, you know? Oh, we just barely missed it. That's tragic. Oh, we're not opening our friend menu. We're gonna go ahead and drop these 4 items. We're gonna check what exactly the hell these things are. None of them are really good, so that's fine. Take the chapel key from Vonnie's course and talk to Yosef. Screwed up our horse movement a little bit there in a way that cost us about half a second. Obviously, any one half a second mistake in a 3-hour run category is not that impactful, but a chain of half-second mistakes over the course of the 3-hour run can add up to a meaningful amount of time. Okay, we're going to keep trying to figure out where exactly the correct mouse placement is, because you can get away with leaping through that tunnel there if you place your mouse just correctly. It's not clear exactly what the correct location is. So now we're going to run into this cabin, which is actually one of the most lore-rich places in the entire campaign. There are all these optional things that you can do in there to learn a little bit more about the character that you meet, whose name is Lorath. It's his cabin. He's not home. You've broken into it. He comes home from a hunt to find you there, and his response, as would be the response of any rational person, is to invite you to dinner. So now we're just going to give a nice talk to Lorath, and then we're going to get up here, and we're going to do a meaningless gesture of writing our most troublesome sin on a piece of holy cedar wood. We pick a random one. It doesn't affect us at all. It's just wherever our mouse falls on the menu. You'll notice that all the dialogue options show up on the top left, so anytime that we click on an NPC that we know we're going to have dialogue with, we preemptively move our mouse over to the left just to be able to grab it. While we're in Kyovashad, there are a number of short chores that we want to do. The first one is that we're going to buy elixirs. These elixirs we can't use until level 10, and we don't hit level 10 for quite a few minutes, so you may be curious why we do that. The answer is that we want to be able to use them as soon as we possibly can, and so having them already in our inventory so that way we can use them whenever we would like is very, very useful. Now, as we run up into the cathedral here, you'll notice that I do one optional side quest. You may be concerned, Eric, why as you run along the speedrun route are you doing an optional side quest? It's because that one adds about 6 seconds to the entire run, but it gives you the option of getting an additional item, or at least a chance at a good additional item. Okay, so far we haven't had anything especially impactful, but we're going to go ahead and continue working here. This is Yosef, the fellow that we met earlier, and he's talking to Prava, the Reverend Mother of the main cathedral in town, a sort of Catholic-like faction that worship one half of the creation duo of the Diablo world. Reverend Mother Prava is an important guiding character to the plot of the video game, but in the speedrun we don't spend much time talking to her at all, so just know that those conversations are really lore-rich, but we don't care about lore, we're speedrunners. So now we're going to run down, and the main thrust of the game is that we are trying to chase Lilith. Lilith is the demonic half of the creation duo of the Diablo world. Take this optional chest, thank you. That chest does not always spawn. There are a few other places where optional chests can spawn, so if you see me swinging out of my way, it is because I am checking to see if optional chests that are just barely off the beaten track have spawned. This early on in the game we are very, very, very RNG dependent for our items, and we really need a couple of early things to happen. A treasure goblin in this location is a phenomenal thing to happen. We will take all of that, thank you. That is 2 weapon upgrades and a little bit of gold for only a few seconds off our path. A delightful outcome. You may notice that we aren't assigning those items to slots yet, and the reason that we're doing that is because we have a moment in a second where there's some unskippable overworld movement where we have to wait for an NPC to unlock a door, and during that time is when we will be doing our inventory management. Again, we're just going slightly out of our way to grab a few of these different chests, checking different places where they can optionally spawn. The best possible spawn location for a chest is actually on this cliff up and to our left. It did spawn, so you get to see a cool little shortcut that lets me equip this item faster. Look at that, hooray. Nothing interesting in there, unfortunately. Okay, and then we wait over here. We know that there are going to be some risen miners, aka ghouls, that spawn here. We're just positioning ourselves so we can use upheaval to sweep out as much of the mob as possible in one go. Then we go ahead and lead these NPCs over to this door. We do it on our horse because it forces them to rubber band much faster. That's a crazy item. Clap for that. Woo! We're doing really great. So far, I'm quite pleased with the item RNG based on the appearance of this crag hammer. The next item that we really need is a pair of yellow boots, and yellow boots are important for a number of different reasons. Longtime Diablo players will understand that items come in rarities. Common items, when they show up on the floor, are white. Magic items, when they show up on the floor, are blue. And rare items, when they show up on the floor, are yellow. There are even rarer item classifications of that, legendary and unique, but this early on in the campaign it is extraordinarily unlikely that we would run into anything legendary, and in fact impossible for us to run into anything unique. Okay, and then we're gonna continue working our way through. Okay, sorry, it took a second to decide, sort of a subtle itemization decision there about which one of those two weapons was better. You may be confused because we're using this crag hammer, but the modifiers from weapons that you have equipped but are not actively wielding still apply to your attacks. So as a consequence, you really want to choose quite carefully which weapons you equip. The second he says open that door, girl, is the second where she opens the door, so we start running away on that audio cue.
Why would your mother leave you like that? She wouldn't.
Okay, and then as we run through here, we are getting close to the end of this dungeon. We're just trying to hold on, make sure that we use our evades effectively. Okay, and then we're just going to continue running on through. We want to click on this next door at 11:15 or so, but it seems that we've gotten particularly bad RNG, which is alright. We may click on it, 3 or 4 seconds late, which is okay. So let's see. Yeah, a whole 2.8 seconds late. So, not the worst thing in the entire world. Next, as we enter into this room, we're going to be handed a ring. This ring is called Miner's Litany. If you are a Diablo 4 speedrunning fan, you will know that Miner's Litany, oh my gosh, can be a really great item like that one is. 4% attack speed plus 16 strength is maybe the third best possible configuration out of hundreds that you can have. The best possible one is plus 15% damage plus 6% attack speed. That is extraordinarily rare. But plus attack speed is a great item, especially this early on, where we are somewhat bottlenecked in our ability to pick up items with nice modifiers. You'll notice we don't even have an item in every slot yet, so getting a good item in a slot is phenomenal. Next, we're going to stand on top of our boy Grendon here and spam click under our own center of mass, which is quite hard to do. And we do this just to make sure that we click on Grendon at the quickest possible moment, and then we're going to jump across here and try and get over to these blood petals as quickly as possible. Our follow companion, Nayrel, is going to be slower than us in a number of positions, and there are quite a few places where we can manipulate that to our advantage, mostly by building up a gap between her and us, where we can force her to sort of join back up to us at a particular spot. You may notice that this shout spell that we have here, we hold on to it at some times. We do not use it off cooldown, and that's because in addition to it granting us bonus move speed, it also grants us a status condition called Unstoppable. And that means that when we're running through mobs, they can't body block us, they can't stagger us, they can't stun us, and that is very important for us. Unstoppable does what the name says on the tin, and it makes us unstoppable. So when we're running into hazards that might stop us, we as speedrunners are of course excited to have the ability to make ourselves immune to stagger and slow and other statuses that can really slow us down. Okay, and then that is also a completely, oh my god, we're getting really good item RNG, at least so far. So we need this to keep up, and this is not at all the most impactful place for us to get really sick item RNG, but it is, a mood booster whenever you start a runoff and you get good items right away. Item power scales quite aggressively in Diablo, so as we continue to run, even these items that we're so excited to get will be irrelevant in a few minutes at best. But for a few minutes they will help us, and that's all that we can realistically ask for. The other thing that we do as we enter into this room is that we go ahead and take that point out of that skill and put it into a modifier for the other skill, and then we respec it back. That's because we can one-shot that boss if we have the knockback talent enabled, but the knockback talent doesn't help us with mobility. So during big, long movement running sections, we have a skill build for mobility, and during sections that are more focused on damage, you'll notice that we reassign skill points to do more damage. As we get later on into the run, neither damage nor movement is all that scarce, and we're going to be able to leave our points in a more hybridized build. But for now, we need to be super high effort with our skill build allocation for the time being. We're just checking to see if there are any elites over here, and then we're going to go ahead and jump to dodge that mob. You may notice that I'm using leap. Ooh, hell yeah. Thank you. You may notice that I'm using leap and I'm trying to use it to dodge mobs. The reason being for that I have a bad feeling Nayrel's going to go invisible. She did not. That's good. Compared to, of course, her going invisible. Her not going invisible is great for us. Okay, in this room we actually can't take... we don't get any experience for being in this room. So it's E6, E6. Okay, so that's 80. Okay, and then as we run into this next room, you'll notice that I'm once again hot swapping my build as we run into this next fight, which is the first real boss fight of the entire run. Something that a lot of beginning players find overwhelming, and that's because we actually don't kill the main boss here. We kill things that are tethered to her, so the boss fight is confusing for a lot of new players. Take some points out of some skills that we don't need. And then we build up Fury. Diablo 4, as you may know if you play the game, is what's called a maker-spender resource system. So we have a bunch of different basic attacks. Some of them cost resource, and some of them create resource. As you might expect, the ones that are costly are more powerful, but tend to have longer attack animations. So instead of having cooldowns on your main damage spells, you instead have just resource cost that are positive and negative for different ones depending on their power. When you get into the ultra late game, there's lots of itemization that creates resource for you naturally without needing to use what's called your basic attack. So you end up doing almost all of your damage using just your core attack if you're playing late game Diablo 4. We, of course, are not playing late game Diablo 4. The campaign, for a lot of people, is sort of a gateway to what they would think of as being the real part of the game, which is sort of the dungeon grinding, big combat portion of the game where you're fighting late game bosses and things. So we're doing alright. That was a flat split there to Venard. That's because we didn't get truly incredible weapons, just merely good ones, and so we lost, I think, 1 second. I split a second late there. But that's okay. Right now, we're on decent pace. If we get a first way out of the Horadric illusion here, we're going to be on good pace. The Horadric illusion is one of 2 dungeons in the entire campaign that has any RNG associated with its layout. The first one was that set of tunnels we were in earlier, and now we get the most important RNG of the entire run, which is that we run through this dungeon where it has 3 possible exits, and we don't know which one is which, so we just have to run through. We can make an educated guess, and I will be able to tell quite early whether or not we've chosen the correct location. It looks like we have not gotten it, and yeah, so that actually tells us that this will be the exit down and to the right, so we backtrack a little bit, and then now we're on the correct way out. So it doesn't actually cost us that many seconds, maybe 10 or 15 seconds difference between a good split and a bad split here. But 10 or 15 seconds is 10 or 15 seconds, and we're trying to set world record speed runs. So obviously not what we're looking for to be missing any time that we could be picking up. But getting into that portal at 1947, not bad at all. These are the same exactly, and we can't even equip Mother's Knife. Okay, and then now we are in an instanced region. I can't even teleport out. You can see if I hit my teleport key, I cannot do that in this area. So we're just waiting. We're being given some lore. We're meeting one of the main antagonists of the Diablo universe. This is Mephisto, but in disguise. Other people pronounce it Mephisto, I am aware. I've just mentally pronounced it Mephisto forever, and I am very sorry for all the people who are lore Andies and know that that the correct pronunciation is not the one that I use. But I'm allowed to play the video game the way that I want, including mispronouncing the name of characters if it makes it fun for me. I encourage you guys to do the same. If you can mispronounce a video game character's name in a way that makes the game more fun for you, just do it. Okay, and then now we're going to get out of here. Nice. And we've leveled up to level 8, which is a delightful place to be as we go into the next section here. We're going to go ahead and get into the Herodric Vault. Neyrelle is going to just snap from one location to the other right as we enter the dungeon, and we're going to continue our run. You may notice, again, that I keep hot swapping around, and just to remind you, that's because in some places we know that there won't be any major boss fights, and we can use very low-level spells to kill everything, in which case we want to leave more points in our mobility. So right now we have 3 points in a move speed passive that gives us plus 4 move speed per level. So we have 12% increased move speed right now. As we get later on into the game, we will be able to pick up more and more things that improve our move speed more and more. But there's not that much to say this early on in the run about move speed, so I will let the run speak for itself, and we can continue moving on. I hope that you guys are enjoying watching. I know that the monotony of speedrun resetting can be tedious for people. Especially viewers who are not that familiar with the speedrun writing, so I'm trying to provide a lot of commentary and put it down in the hopes that it helps you guys. Also, if you are new to Diablo 4 speedrunning and you're watching this because it's somewhere on some leaderboard, just know that this hot swap stuff is a very high amount of effort for a very minimal amount of reward, and it is not at all necessary to get a high quality run. Now this is an item that we are really looking forward to being able to inspect, which is our first pair of yellow oh my gosh, these are the boots. Let's go. Phenomenal stuff there. Was my last run decent? That's a matter of taste, how you'd like to describe it, Rocket. The last run that I was on is not nearly as good as this one. This is a great run, mostly because of the time and place where those boots showed up. As you may know, yellow boots are a cornerstone of really fast runs. What yellow boots are rare boots, and that means that they have the opportunity to be much, much faster than other things. These are actually close to being perfect boots, in fact. which is completely insane to think about. What I mean by perfect boots is they have a bonus where every time I use my evade action, they give plus 75% move speed for 1 second, and my evade action has a 5-second cooldown, so that's 20% uptime for 75% bonus move speed, so you can think of it as being a 15% movement speed increase over any decently sized running duration. The math is a little subtler than that because a lot of running sections are so short that we run for a much shorter duration than 5 seconds. Okay, and then now as we continue to run on here, you're going to see why these boots are so important. Now all that we need is for anywhere in the Fields of Judgment, which is a zone we're about to run through, we need a weapon to drop. There is an item level breakpoint at item power 150. We are only level 8, so the probability of an item rolling over item level 150 is reasonably low, but it's not impossible, and it certainly does happen in a reasonable fraction of runs, something like 20 or 30%, sort of heuristically speaking. Thank you, Rocket, for saying that my stats knowledge is insane. If you take a look at the live split counter in the top left up there, you can see that number 50 in the top bar. That's the number of resets of Barbarian I've done this week, the number of times I've started Barbarian campaign. So I've become very, very familiar with these early game optimizations. And later on in the run, item stats become less important than they are right now. I hope that this is the run, Rocket, but we certainly don't have any guarantees yet. We need 3 more things to happen for this run to be a possible really high quality run. One is that we need a weapon drop to happen in the next 3 minutes or so. The second is that we need our drops from Lilith's Lament to be high quality, and the third is that we need an upgrade to occur there. These boots, in addition to having plus 75% movement speed for 1 second on evade, also have plus 4.5% base move speed. So we're really doing quite well on movement, which is a significant bottleneck for these longer running sections that we're about to encounter. We have essentially 10 minutes worth of no meaningful combat, but lots of meaningful movement tech. I'm actually going to go ahead and take 1 point out of my move speed and put it into enhanced charge. I will explain why we do that when we encounter the situation where that is the most useful, but for now I'll leave it a mystery as to why we want that point in enhanced charge. The earliest possible place for the weapon to show up is in this chest, which does not already spawn. We got a weapon, if it's a good weapon, which it is. Holy fuck, what a weapon. Then this is a very good run. Oh my god. That's a crazy weapon. Holy. That's nuts. I'm going to take a second to revel in that before I explain why it's so valuable. But just know, that shit's sick. The chances of that chest spawning are around 40%. So the fact that the chest spawned at all is positive, just because we want as many opportunities as possible for us to get weapon upgrades, and we got it in the earliest possible place. Holy fucking shit. That's crazy. And then also it's a particularly good... Oh my god, what a weapon. So the reason that we wanted the point in enhanced charge is because of this exact combat right here. So what enhanced charge does is it means when we knock someone back into a wall using charge, they take substantial additional bonus damage, and that point in enhanced charge essentially doubles charge's damage. Yeah, well, I mean, when you do 50 resets, you're bound to get it at some point. We still have 2 more bottlenecks to really significant world record class run. We need a decent drop from Lilith's Lament, and I will explain what that means when we get to Lilith's Lament, but just know that for right now, there's still some ways to go before we are fully in the clear.
The end nears here. Look into yourself. Feel how it fills the void within.
Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead
Nothing without
and continue moving on here.
to the light.
Um,
And remember,
that's totally... This is a crazy weapon. I don't... Holy... Okay, so you actually can't walk through these doors until they're a certain percent open, which is quite weird. But yeah, that's great. We're feeling good. We're 26 seconds ahead. Keeping up with this next split is virtually impossible. The world record split that we're running against from Chort to Lilith's Lament was a completely insane run. So if we drop 20 or 30 seconds, it's still totally reasonable. We can make that up in other places in the run. But just know that we are not expecting to maintain this 26-second lead, even with this completely insane weapon drop and these really good and well-placed yellow boots. Just know, like preemptively, getting to Lilith's Lament and finishing it with a flat split, being able to get to Lilith's Lament in 37:30 is great for us. It's just really wonderful. So we're not really all that worried about being able to do a perfect split-for-split match against what we did last time when we set the world record. The slack that we expect to be able to pick up with new tech that'll make the second half of the run, or really the middle 50%, is the most important place where we can get time advancement. So we merely need to stay on pace to have a good shot. We do not need to be green or gold splitting this early at all. It's just totally not necessary for us.
those who bask in the light.
Also, please note that Reverend Mother Prava is barefoot,
Against the encroaching darkness.
and she will remain barefoot throughout the entire run.
Come, let us speak inside. Of the cult.
This is crazy stuff. Look, she's barefoot. And at one point she walks on a river of lava barefoot later on in the run.
Yet you stay.
So the only significant item upgrade that could help us at all with this split itself would be the presence of an attack speed or damage ring. It is possible to get a weapon upgrade, but it's not really going to be significant for us. So we're going to stop going out of our way to take items for a moment, and we're going to be sort of doing minimal combat throughout this next section of the run. So you may notice that I'll be dodging substantial combat here, which may look confusing, but just know that I'm doing it on purpose. We're moving. We are schmoving.
Difficult to understand. I think I know how to talk to my mother again.
So to give you some idea of how good this weapon is, this is a very, very coarse statistic. But we want our attack power, which is an in-game coarse measurement of how much damage you're capable of doing. It's a very coarse measurement. There are problems with the formula. But just know that that attack power measurement should be something like 150 in a good run, and we currently are sitting at 235
I'm not ready.
before bonuses and before modifiers, which is crazy. Okay, and then we're just gonna, like I said, be dodging a whole lot of combat here.
It started in dreams. I need to destroy the tumors to go any further.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so that's not good. It's a loss of a couple of seconds, but we're going to pick them back up in other places. So, you know, there's 5 seconds on the table for you, dear future Barbarian speedrunner. You can beat me by doing that and then executing perfectly for the rest of the run. I'm kidding, of course, I'm not going to execute perfectly. There's going to be plenty of time left on the table for you. If you get item RNG close to as good as this, you'll be able to do quite well for yourself, Mr. or Mrs. Future Barbarian Speedrunner. Shout out to you, Macabre, if you're watching the VOD. If this continues to go really well for us. That's a crazy item. I know that it doesn't look like a crazy item to anyone who's not a speedrunner, because you're like, what are you talking about? Item level 220, 925. This is, compared to what can possibly be dropped, this is an absurdly strong weapon for this point in the campaign, based on where we are in the level curve and so on and so forth. Being able to go minimum combat through this section is actually a crazy benefit. Like I said, we do not need to match that last split. That last split was on a totally insane run that had completely inimitable item RNG that we're not even hoping to match. Just know that we're not even trying to, like, we don't even hope for that. Like that world record run is probably going to be a feature of our Sum of Best, or close to Sum of Best, for quite a while.
I'm low on fury.
Oh my god. Good drops. Potentially great drops, actually. So we actually won't know what those item drops even are until much later, because I'm not even going to read them. But there are many things that those orange boots could be, which could be extremely, extremely useful. We will take a look. They're not very useful boots, as it turns out. We'll have a time to double check that in a minute. But that particular legendary aspect is not extraordinarily useful for us. We are a little bit behind on levels compared to where we would like to be, but that is okay, because we will figure that out later on. So let's talk a little bit about what I mean by this being a really great weapon. So this weapon, oh my, I gold splitted by 27 seconds. Ugh. All right. So this weapon that we got is above an item level breakpoint that happens very, very early on in the game. Item level 150 is a significant cutoff for us. By the way, I know that that may not actually be an item level breakpoint in the conventional meaning of that term. I know what an actual item level breakpoint is, but just know that item level 150 is sort of a significant metric for us in terms of how strong an item is early on in the game. It's also a two-handed weapon, which is the best possible outcome for us. And not only that, it's a two-handed slashing weapon, and not only that, it's a two-handed slashing weapon, which is a polearm, and not only that, it's a two-handed polearm with a high amount of base strength bonus. It's not the best possible weapon. The best possible weapon, in addition to having base strength, would also have a percent damage modifier. So this isn't like, oh my god, if I could drop myself any weapon. That's not what this is. This is merely a very, very good weapon. It's not a perfect one. We're still very excited about it, as you guys saw. The second I saw it, I knew that it was very, very good. We do not hope, expect, or frankly even want perfect items to drop to us at any point in the campaign. It removes the fun of the RNG and the replayability of the campaign. If you got perfect item RNG, it would apply too much pressure. So,
I need to be out
okay.
with other knights.
Quite a rush, my boy. You know, I found some of my old fragment tools. Stay here.
Take some with me. Have a visitor.
This.
Okay, so now we are level 10, so we activate our elixir, and then we're going to allocate that skill point this way. And now we have a bunch of points in our move speed, and we're going to leave hybrid build on for a moment. Like I said, you may notice that I'm hot swapping skill points super often early on in the game. In Act 1, it's very, very necessary. In Act 2 and later on, it stops being necessary outside of major boss fights. So we stop doing it because it's just simply not worth the difficulty and effort. Now we would like another two-handed weapon upgrade. We would like actually a substantial upgrade to our two-handed slashing weapon. And there are a bunch of places that could possibly come in Act 2. Because the area level has gotten so much higher, the items that can drop to us are substantially stronger than they were even a moment ago. So that's a good start. That war axe there could be very, very significant. As can that skull crusher. Oh my goodness. We're really getting good item RNG here. Cool. So now we're really cooking on the item RNG. We've got two good two-handed weapons, both of roughly the same item level. And now we can take an upgrade in either slot. That's a silent chest, not a resplendent chest. I'm a goof. I'm a goof. So we will continue running here for a moment. Now that we've hit level 10, we're able to keep an elixir active, so I suppose I'll talk about what this particular elixir does. It does two things. One is that it increases our lucky hit chance and our attack speed. These things will both be relevant later on in the campaign if we are able to get to the section where we would like to use them. Now we're in Skosglen, we're about to go on a follow quest, in sort of an escort mission with our young friend Yorin here, who is one of two teenage companions that we will have throughout the quest. His story, at least as is revealed in Diablo 4 itself and not in the expansion, is by far the sadder of the two. We're just going to go ahead and miss a skill there, just to keep it interesting. And then we're going to get some horrible item drops from that chest, so we're just gonna drop some time. We're just gonna lose out on some time here, apparently, just for the sake of keeping things interesting. So the campaign quests can be done in Acts 1, 2, and 3 can be done in any order. The reason that we do them in the order of 1, 2, and 3 is because that's just spatially the fastest. Additionally, the minimum level required for most of the areas in Act 2 is level 12. Which means that we can certainly take them on at level 1 if we would like. It's just the level of monsters in that region will be level 12 or your level, whichever is higher. So the quest becomes substantially slower for us if we're under-leveled, because we're just fighting higher level monsters. They have a greater amount of HP. We do less damage at low levels, etc., etc. Okay, so in terms of the base stats, that weapon itself is an upgrade, but it has a modifier, it lacks a modifier that we would really like that our other weapon does have. Which is a % damage modifier, so it is marginally better than some of the other things that exist.
I'm out of fury.
We will hold on to it for a moment, though.
Something's written on your tongue. By storm and moot, by tears and pain, we bear this flame that must remain. Dead eyes stained with ash and ember, cursed are we who must remember. An elegy written by Erebor. This is a memorial to all who died fighting. We are not your enemy. She must be bending this.
Extremely unlikely that these yellow boots are an upgrade compared to the ones that we already have, but we will take a look at them nevertheless. Same for these. Interesting.
This must be the cairn of the elders. So much defiled. Demonic scars upon their grave. True clues to rouse the dead. These runes. Right. Solutions are about ahead, not behind, as Father says. That was one of the revered dead from the cairns.
Returned to the wolves. May they find rest. Did you think we'd so easily join the dead? How did you find your way up here?
Through the cairns.
Through them, mighty brave of you, and mighty foolish.
Eridan came
I'll stay here and protect these two.
Okay, so there's an option for a treasure goblin to spawn when we swing back around from the second of these two risen remains. I will tell you if we get it, because we will know quite soon.
The fog is thinning now.
And we did not get the optional treasure goblin.
Need to get to Raystack in safer air.
We've lasted this long and survived worse.
You've been fortunate.
Graystack.
Okay, and then as we continue up the mountain here,
More time.
we have a pretty fun little piece of combat here, where you have to kill those tethered treants, and then now we're able to get onto these next guys here.
Have you seen
We will hot swap some skill points here as we come into So that was also a crazy split. We're cooking. We have a moment for some inventory management in a second, where we can check out the small handful of items that we did get from that piece of combat.
I need more time.
Okay. And then we also need to reallocate some skill points, I believe, but we're going to do the inventory first. Okay, like I keep saying, we do need a weapon upgrade at some point before we run into Astaroth. So since we're a little bit ahead and we want to maintain that, we will take that optional piece of combat there. That waypoint doesn't actually matter, it's just good to build the habit of clicking every waypoint that comes directly across our path. Okay, and there's actually a limit to our maximum speed in here, which is tied to the move speed of Nephane's wolf. So you may notice that we're not going as fast as is possible, and that's simply because we can't go any faster than the wolf will let us go. Okay, so we would like for our attack power going into the fight with Astaroth to be something closer to 400, but that might not be possible, so it's okay with us if it isn't. Okay, and then we just take that elite because it comes right across our path for free. Hello, how's it going, man?
How's the run going?
I'm on great pace. I'm on world record pace, in fact.
Pulling it up right now.
Also, I don't have time to adjust it, but my Discord audio is apparently very, very quiet, so I can't hear you super well, and I apologize if I, miss a sentence here or there.
You're good, you're good. I was also probably speaking quietly.
Damn it. Not dead. Where has that creature gone?
Hey, I recognize this part of the game. It was super frustrating.
What's funny for me is, like, I hear people describe what they find frustrating about the campaign, and other than, like, one very slow escort mission, there's just not, like...
Oh,
like
the frustrating portion was simply because, like, you don't finish the kill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But for me, it's like people will go like, man, that boss was so hard. And I go, what? You can one-shot that boss if you know the right build. And then I go, oh, yeah, the campaign's meant for people who don't know how the game works yet. Like...
Whatchamacallit, I haven't had any trouble with any bosses.
Oh, for sure. Well, yeah, but also you're not...
I'm on a tier 2 world, so...
Well, yeah. I mean, I speedrun on World Tier 1, so... it is definitely something that makes me... That amuses me about the new player experience, is like, I remember... Like, when I ran the campaign, there were certain bosses I hated the first playthrough. Like, I know which ones I originally hated, but now... I think that there's one boss fight in the entire campaign that I actively, like, dread doing. And it's just because it happens at a place in the item curve where, like, on speedrun routing, it's just not possible to do it efficiently. Because you're just at the wrong level for the fight. So.
I think the hardest boss that I've fought so far was, God, what's her name? Is it Andariel? The person who came, like, the lesser evil that
Yes.
Elias... Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't hard, like, I wasn't even close to dying, but I had to use the first health potion of the game for myself, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of how it's measured, right? Like, I wish that you could set the campaign to be way harder than it is. Like, I think that World Tier 2 could easily be doubled in difficulty, and it would be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Because, like, if you've played, like, any MOBA, any MMO with combat system that works anything like this, right? Any RPG that works anything like this, like, it just ends up being not that difficult. So, which is fine. Like, it's supposed to be the welcome to the game thing to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. I found this part a little frustrating just because I was like, this is so long.
I find the whole thing frustrating. I wish I could do all of it faster.
2-hour pace incoming.
I think the theoretical, like, ceiling of the campaign right now, if we don't find any sequence breaks, is like 240-ish. Like, some of the world records right now are like 253 is the Necro world record. I think that there's like a couple of minutes of fat on that, and I think with like perfect item RNG and so forth, you could get substantial time off. But I just can't see how you could get to like
past that area.
Yeah. Alright, so we're really putting up prayers for RNGesus, boys. Put some prayer emojis in the chat. Whatever you feel will give me good luck, because we have one more chance to get an item upgrade before we run into Astaroth. So, you know, we're hoping here.
We got this. Rage.
That's a start. It's not a good start, but it's a start. That's also a start. It's not a good start, but it's a start.
I'm not ready.
Chances either one of those is the item we need is extremely low, but that's all we got. Let's see how good it is. That's actually huge. That's garbage. Alright. So we went 1 for 2.
Lilith has what she wanted all this time. She took the stone. No sign of Yorin, though. We need to find him. Was it another vision?
Can we get some rips for Yorin?
Donan's giant copium always makes me laugh, where he's like in that cutscene, you see Lilith put the soul stone like through his skull,
Yeah.
and then he's like, "My boy's strong. He can." I'm like, "No, he fucking can't." Like, bro, no one survives like a baseball bat being shoved through their cranium. Like, are you insane? Like, if I put a softball-sized hole in your fucking head, I don't care if there's a demon in that hole or not. You're dead either way. Like,
to be 100% fair, he doesn't see that cutscene. Only we do.
I mean, yes. However, he does know that the soul stone goes in the head. Like,
I didn't know that was.
He's a soul stone expert. Soul stone
Okay.
go in head is a thing that he knows. When we say the soul stone went in him, he would understand that means in head. By the way, have you ever played any of the other Diablo games?
Played Diablo 2 as a kid, but I was like a middle schooler, and we mostly like would play Diablo 2 with the friends, or like play custom modes in StarCraft.
Yeah.
So, not since then. This fight was a little annoying because those puddles like backed me into a corner because of the boss movement.
Yeah, so you can see we were a minute 19 ahead, and now we're going to be nowhere close to that because we just didn't get a weapon drop where we needed one. So we're still doing fine, like I said.
Yeah.
But this is the sort of like, this is the part of the campaign where like you're not level 15 yet, so you can't have the totally insane tempers that solve the whole game for you. But you're also like a deep enough portion of the campaign where your lack of damage is meaningful.
Out of curiosity, could there be some optimization of like what level are you here?
13.
13, there we go.
It's possible if you're willing to give up. So I'm a minute 20 ahead, right? Coming into this fight. If you're willing to be 2 minutes behind, you can save a minute on the fight and end up at -1 minute, but be crazy consistent. So it's like, are you swinging for the fences, or are you trying to get as many runs as deep as you can?
I almost wonder if the consistent strat might actually be the better one overall if you're able to find like a grind spot and just gain some levels.
It's not that you would need a grind spot, it's that you'd need to traverse, like, there's enough experience in the dungeons you're going into anyways that you don't need a new grind spot. You just need to be patient and take experience in the dungeons you're already in. Like, it certainly isn't efficient to leave the campaign route, but you could just play the campaign route slower. The problem is, almost immediately after this, when we hit level 15, because I'm level 13.8 right now or so, I'm going to be... One second. I'm going to be able to do some stuff that makes every single boss fight the rest of the campaign, like, totally meaningless. Like, so easy that there's just nothing to be done. Gross. Fuck yeah. Okay,
Nice
so we didn't...
legendary.
Yeah, it's like, it's above average, but not top tier.
Yeah.
But that's all we need. So now we're just like trying to go out of our way to do two things. One is hit level 15 as fast as is humanly possible. So I'm going to take every single optional piece of elite combat I can. Elites have 50% bonus HP, but give 700% bonus experience.
Ooh.
Yeah. And it was a treasure goblin, so it was a chance for really sick item upgrades. We didn't get sick item upgrades out of it, but... You know.
Wait, there was a treasure goblin there? I didn't see that. Oh.
Well, I killed it fast as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm used to chasing it all around.
Yeah, well, yeah. My skill build is not something a new player would theorycraft for themselves.
Oh, listen, I told you that I changed up my skill build
Yeah.
to a metal one, and my DPS shot through the roof, so...
Yeah. Because a lot of people like understanding the maker spender resource economy and like figuring out how you're supposed to synergize your core skill and your basic skill and learning how to layer all of your damage buffs so that way they overlap and you get the maximum possible thing, and then figuring out how to remove wind up from that sequence is like a lot, you know?
Oh, definitely.
Like that's the mechanics of adding all of these buffs together is actually quite difficult to understand. Right, like I think often as I'm running this stuff, I sort of verbally practice the way I would explain it if I were running it like GDQ.
For when you obviously do rank, add you.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to run at GDQ, at Winter GDQ. I would need to fundraise though, because I can't afford like flight and hotel for a week for that, but
Yeah.
I would probably be able to, you know, glue together enough friends giving me $20 that I could get it done. That's the hope,
Well,
anyways.
we'd have to glue together enough friends to give me one, too, because I'm going to be there on your couch.
Maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
And what is your knowledge of the game? I enjoy playing it, and I'm here to make funny commentary.
It's not the worst, dude. There's some people who have 0 people on their couch and are just raw dogging it, but in the 3-hour RPG category, it's just not human.
I think the single best run, like, regarding that I've ever seen
Mm-hmm.
was during COVID. It was, oh, God, what's his name? It was a Trackmania
Mm-hmm.
runner, and I'm gonna have to find this name now because if you've never watched this run, you need to. Virtual is what his name is here. I'll share the link to it. This man, like, it was an hour-long run
Mm-hmm.
with insane technical skills, and this man just, like, had the most professional commentary the whole time. He's looking at the camera while he's menuing and everything.
Dude, the most impressive technical run from my perspective from this year's GDQ was the one where there was a guy who was doing a technical skill challenge course in Rocket League.
Oh, dude, I didn't watch this year's GDQ because of everything going on, but yeah, those challenge courses in Rocket League are ridiculous.
Just totally insane, like, level of aerial hoop dodge execution where you're like, bro, calm down. Like,
Save some skills for the rest of us, please.
So we did get a minor weapon upgrade. We still need one more. There's a chance for a chest to spawn. We didn't get the chest spawn. Absolutely tragic. Are in pieces, boys.
It feels like this like specifically this game running it.
Mm-hmm.
Item drops is single-handedly like has more an impact in this game than any other run like game I've seen. Like
Yeah, so the reason that Diablo games are really popular to speedrun is because, like, the gambling element of the item drops is addictive to the runner. It's also why, like, you know, hack and slash loot RPGs are popular in general, right?
yeah.
But there's a problem with running them at events like PACE and ESA and GDQ, and it's because, like, if you get on stage and then you go on a dry spell on stage, you're just giga fucked, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, it happens to be the case that, like, Diablo 2 is the worst game in that regard in terms of, like, the difference between a quote-unquote good run and a bad run is, like, huge.
Yeah.
Like, just because the RNG can, like, just decide you're going to be half an hour longer today. And so they just cannot keep you on pace for, like, speedrun routing.
Well, that's the nice thing about D4 is they're like because of tempering.
Yeah.
You can make a stage save run that
Yeah.
you just get the XP to 50.
Oh, the shared stash.
Yeah.
Like, because the backup strat is just walk into town and pick up pre-farmed gear. Right? Like, I would just set aside sort of 80th percentile quality gear, and then if I go on a crazy dry spell, I would just explain, hey, I'm going to go pick up above average but not insane items from town to keep the run moving. This is a simulation of what quote-unquote good RNG would look like, and then just keep it moving. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to break the game for it to be marathon safe. I just need to put it into what a quote-unquote good run would look like. Which is very, very simple for me to do. Oh, come on. You're supposed to be able to jump through that, you bitches. Like that, thank you. So this is going to be a slower split, and that's okay. We're just guaranteeing that we hit level 15 as soon as possible. So I'm, like, deliberately giving up a full minute on this split. And I know that I'm doing it. So, like, you're going to see me go from 30 seconds behind to, like, 90 seconds behind at the best. And we're doing that on purpose. Because the routing is different this time. It's because we're going to kill all of these elites. And their minions. Because again, we're just trying to hit level 15.
Clean movement there. Clean movement.
Thank you.
I'm not ready.
We probably need to take one more elite group to guarantee that we hit 15, but it's going to be very, very close. Little did you know my character is capable of speed reading these whole pillars. Yeah, could you read that?
Listen, he is whatchamacallit. You ever watch Criminal Minds?
I've got an eidetic memory.
Yeah.
Sure.
is Spencer Reed. Power of Nephilim.
I need more fury. I'm not ready.
And I'm assuming it was just easier to soak that damage. and
Oh,
not
oh,
worry about getting out because of the legendary bubble.
no, just no amount of damage he can do to me will be meaningful.
Gotcha.
Like, they're just, until you get into at least Hawazar, until you get into Act 5, there is no character that can do any amount of damage that threatens me at all. Like, I can just face tank everything if I want.
It'd be interesting to see, like, this see the run ran on like a tier 5, world or tier 4 world or something like that.
Yeah, unfortunately that's literally not possible, so...
Well, I mean, what a run on that type of world would be like is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm just pointing out, like, that... One second. I have a bunch of fast menuing to do here.
Yeah. Damage is good. Come on. Close enemies is probably okay, right?
Yes. I'm a melee character. Every time I hit anybody, it's...
Close.
Man, fuck you, dude. Holy. Tempered, 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 tempered. Not yet tempered. Okay. Horrible temper outcomes there. Just gross. Man, fuck you, dude.
Sorry.
I don't know who I'm saying that to. I'm saying it to RNGesus.
Yeah. It's not even a Valve game where you can just blame Gaben.
Fuck you, whoever made David Brevik leave. Bless up to my boy David Brevik. Do you know who that is?
Name sounds familiar.
He was a senior programmer for Diablo 1 and then was lead game designer for Diablo 2. And then founded an independent game studio and left Blizzard after his game studio, Blizzard North, was folded into main Blizzard. So the reason that Diablo 3 and 4 are, like, not the same as Diablo 1 and 2, sort of in terms of a game systems and player retention approach, is because, like, corporate Blizzard pissed off the guy who is the spiritual father of the game.
Gotcha.
So like, essentially like David Brevik in Diablo fanboy circles is like can do no wrong level, like he's inverse fuck you.
I'm not ready.
Like,
He's very much the like ARPG golden boy. Any good thing is attributed to him. Any bad thing is attributed to whoever pissed him off.
Like
He had-
Chris
he-
Metzen for a while, yeah.
He has a phenomenal game design talk that I can send to you, where he talks about like the game design decisions that led to the creation of Diablo 1 and 2 being the way that they are, and like sort of the development history of the genre, and it's like fascinating.
I'm not ready.
you know what would be fascinating? All the stuff like slide down here, climb up this.
Uh-huh.
If there was a way to make those go faster, you could probably save a lot of, effectively almost a minute at a time throughout the campaign.
Oh, you could do. I mean, here, you want to see something cool? Just jump straight through the wall. I don't need to climb down
Oh.
shit.
Yeah, I know that, but like when you did the slide down there in the main square.
Oh, if I have leap off cooldown, I can leap down those things instead of sliding down them, and it's faster.
Gotcha.
So, like, there's no way to make the actual slide itself faster, but there are ways to, like, avoid doing the slide at all. Okay.
Where did the cannibals come from?
Totally normal hitbox for that right there. I definitely actually hit that wall.
Let's check in on T Governor, by the way. His
Patch waiting room or something going on.
Using a butter knife to cut a log in half until Act 3 is out. And he is actually doing it.
That's insane. I mean, it is June 39th today, so...
Yeah, exactly. He's a lot further through this log than I thought he would be. And a Twitch poll will run every 20 minutes for you to choose a temporary buff or nerf.
For
Going
his
from-
log cutting?
Yeah, going from on the harshest nerf side, it's just a steel dowel rod, and on the biggest buff side, it is an axe for 2 minutes or 3 swings. Excuse me.
I love it when like, because I'm thinking about that game design talk from David Brevik. I love it when the summary of good game design is, I made a game I would want to play.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no shit, dumbass. Like, I play video games, and I made one that I would like. And you're like, yeah, that sounds correct. That sounds like a good idea.
Oh, that's a nice jump.
There are many. There are many, many good jumps like that. The slickest one I showed you already, but there are a bunch.
Are these all new ones, or have you known about these ones in the one by the?
The one by so essentially they're discovered one by one, and only some of them are significant enough that I like go out of my way to document them for other runners. But like, you can cut substantial portions of the run. You like that?
Good fight. Good fight.
I'm afraid.
Wait, how do you have that properties lost? I didn't know that was something that you could.
Uh,
Oh.
there are two settings that you should go turn on.
Give them
It-
to me after the run. Yeah.
Yeah, so no, one's called Advanced Tooltip Comparison and one's called Advanced Tooltip Information. They're both checkboxes, and if you are a game systems player, like if you play a MOBA, for example, you competitively need to understand the game systems, right? Like there are all kinds of obscure like does such and such pierce BKB interactions that you know about, right?
Yeah.
So like, if you are the sort of player who wants to and can parse game systems information, turn on as many advanced tooltips as are available in Diablo 4. Like just go into the settings, everything labeled tooltip, turn it all on, all of it.
You know what the worst part about this is?
What?
I'm really starting to enjoy this, and that means I might have to buy the game.
When it goes off Game Pass, you mean?
Yeah. Well, and also because I would like to, I'm assuming it's under gameplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Diablo.
Okay, got my save changes. If I wanted to get Vessel of Hatred, I'd have to
Yeah.
also buy the game.
Have you seen the trailer for Vessel of Hatred?
No, but I do like what little I've seen about it.
Okay, don't watch the trailer for Vessel of Hatred until I can watch it with you, because I love seeing people's reaction to the trailer.
Okay.
Because you're a WoW player, right?
I am.
Okay, you know how like Blizzard WoW cinematics are like completely nuts?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Diablo trailers are like that, but turned up to 50 because the like because thematically Diablo is an extremely dark game, right? It's literally about like
The launch trailer for Diablo,
yeah.
4
Yeah.
is one of the best game trailers I've seen. I love it.
The Vessel of Hatred trailer is markedly more brutal than that.
Okay, yeah. We'll have to-
Like a lot. Like I actually, if I were a parent, would not let a 16-year-old watch it. And I mean that as an endorsement.
Yes.
You understand? like if I were a parent, I
It was traumatizing.
I would not let, like, okay, let's put it this way. If someone let their 13-year-old watch it, I would be like questioning of their abilities as a parent. So
Help CrimsonCasts qualify for Plus. Level up your support by upgrading your sub today.
you don't do that.
You know what's going on in my life. I literally can't. What I
Rocket is in the chat. Rocket is a teenager, and he says it was fucking traumatizing.
Yeah, I know.
And that's Rocket. That's why when Spiritsy watched it in stream, we told you to cover your eyes. Like, that shit's fucked up. Like, we were like, "Yo, Rocket, fucking get out of chat, dog. This is not, this is not good." It's not like it's fucked up because it's like psychological horror. It's just straight up so violent that it's like, yeah, that shouldn't be allowed.
Oh, violence, whatever. I remember when I was in high school, probably around Rocket's age, there was a metal band that What?
I just one-shot that boss.
Yeah, that was a silly amount of damage. And I wish I could remember what it was, but like the lead singer literally like sticks his crowbar knife through a guy's neck, and it's like brutal.
Rocket, on that topic, he says it's worse than every World War II film you've ever watched.
Yeah.
There is only one World War II documentary that I think like should be shown in schools worldwide, and what it was, film as a political medium was really new during World War II. Like, sort of the invention of film propaganda occurred during World War II. To combat the propagandistic efforts of the German government, the French government funded the collection, a bunch of documentary footage of just the physical reality of concentration camps in the post-war era. So between 1951 and 1953, the French government, just like as a consequence of the combined Allied government of West Germany, had unfettered access to the concentration camp sites and just went and filmed, like, here's 1,000 dead bodies in a ditch. Like, just look at it. Here's a slow panning shot of 1,000 dead children in a ditch. Because this is what they did. And so there's absolutely no commentary. There's absolutely no dialogue. It's just an hour and a half of absolutely brutal, like, panning shots of horrible, horrible, unspeakable things. It's called Night and Fog. It's available as a public service, and it's, like, stunning. Like, you know how if you go to the Holocaust Museum in DC, for example, they'll have, like, here's the collection of all of the wedding rings, here's a collection of all of the shoes and so forth. It's like that, but instead of wedding rings and shoes, it's just the actual bodies. It's horrifying. It's completely insane. And I only bring it up as, like, a quote-unquote recommendation because... One second, fast menuing. Because, like, it's so brutal that it, like, shouldn't be ignored, essentially. It's one of those things where it's like, you don't need commentary to understand. And it's so visceral that if you see Night and Fog, it communicates it to you in a level that is deeper than verbal.
Alright, I'm back.
Yep. Yeah, Rocket, I would imagine that it's, like, I took a course in community college on documentary filmmaking history, and the guy who taught the... and the person who taught the course was a 3-time Emmy-nominated, 1-time Emmy-winning documentary producer for PBS. Okay? So, serious guy. Okay. This is gonna blow your mind. You're gonna love the answer to this, Rocket. Okay, so, when you graduate high school in the United States at 18, you can go to a 4-year college to get a bachelor's degree, right? Bachelor's in the UK, yes, at 18. When you graduate high school at 18, you can go to a 4-year college or university to get a bachelor's degree. Much like in the UK, you can go and get a 3-year bachelor's. the reason that bachelors are 4 years in the United States and 3 years in the UK is because in the US, bachelor's degrees are much broader. Like they'll have general education requirements that accompany your concentration requirements, right? In the US, it's also reasonably common to go to a 2-year college and get a degree shorter than a bachelor's called an associate's degree. There are a couple of advantages to this. One of which is that community colleges are smaller and much more local. There's one in almost every major city in the US. And by major city, I mean anything with a population of 100,000 or more.
Or there'll be in a county. If you're like a rural county, there'll be a rural county.
So a reasonably common path to get a 4-year bachelor's degree in the United States is to go to a 2-year college and then transfer and do 2 more years at a 4-year college after that. So I went to a very famous undergraduate institution for the second half of my undergraduate degree. But for the first half, I went to just the college that was in my city, which was great. It was a small place. Class sizes were much smaller. Like lectures would have 15 or 20 people in them sometimes. Professors were very accessible. The professors there, instead of having research obligations, just were only teachers, so they were very, very accessible for student needs. There's a lot that can be said about the benefits of community college. The other thing is that community college tends to have dramatically lower tuition. So you may be familiar with the idea that many 4-year universities in the United States, the annual tuition, and this is before housing, meals, etc., can be $15,000 to $30,000 a year at the low end, and $60,000 to $80,000 a year at the high end. So people will graduate with student loans that are easily 6 figures in some cases if they go to 4-year college all the way through. But community college, your tuition for a full year might be a couple $100s. Yeah, the U.S. education system's fucked up. I don't know what to tell you, Rocket.
It's because the U.S. is a country of debt.
I know you don't. That said, there are somewhere between 1 and 3 colleges in the entirety of the UK. 1 and 3 universities in the entirety of the UK that are as good as or better than the college I went to. So, depends who you ask. But it's essentially, the only reasonable answers are ICL, Cambridge, and Oxford. So,
What university did you go to?
the University of California, Berkeley.
That's right. Thank you.
So, like, if you look in global physics rankings, there's actually no university anywhere in Europe that is better at physics than Berkeley is. So, as a matter of fact, there are no universities anywhere outside of the United States. But that's because U.S. physics funding is very different than the systems that are used by our social and economic peers. For better and for worse. I wish. There are a lot of things about, like, for example, Rocket. What are your feelings about the NHS? You can be political in my chat. It's my chat. What the fuck? I don't know if I read that correctly, but I think I just did a single hit for 28,000 damage. Because it crit, overpowered, and elemental surged.
NHS would be good if the Tories didn't spend 14 years cutting its budget.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, fair.
Which party was it that just won? The Libs won, right?
The Libs won. Well,
Is it the Libs or the Libs Dem or the Lib Dems that just won?
it was
Labor. That's who it is. Right. Rocket, what are your feelings on... Rocket, you're not subscribed?
No shade of devil can stand in our way. In all across this world, seen things you wouldn't believe. But never quite the same. Wandering without a direction. Just wait.
Man, I have some of the fanciest donuts in the world in a box behind me, and I can't
is it
eat
from
them.
that place you showed me the other
Bro,
day?
these are offensively nice donuts.
Sounds like the winds have gone.
Like there was a donut in there that was like a buttery biscuit but filled with cream cheese and raspberry compote. Fucking delicious. Like it was like a flaky, savory dough. Absolutely offensively nice donuts. Yo, thank you for the sub, Rocket. Appreciate you, big dog. I think that gives you a founder's badge, actually. So congratulations congratulations on being one of the channel founders. An honor that is inimitable. Yeah, man, you did get the founder's badge. Nice. I lament that Margaret Thatcher has only one grave on which I can piss. You know? It really sucks that they didn't bury her in multiple graves so we could all... The pound is stronger than the dollar because US monetary supply control policy is very different than British monetary control supply policy. But, like, fiduciary policy at the national level is very different for an economy as globally significant as the United States than it is for any other economy, so... Like, if there were substantial inflationary pressure on the dollar for a 10-year span, that would, like, destroy the global economy. like, full stop. Humans can't allow that to happen, let alone anything else, right? So... This is such a dumb strategy. I love it so much. Have I explained to you what I'm doing? Like why I'm gold splitting the entire rest of the way?
No.
Okay. So, one second. I have some menuing to do. Remind me when I get into the Herodric Vault and I will explain. Just ask me about my tempers when I get to the Herodic Vault.
I can shut up.
Elias used the salt designs to contact Lilith. Perhaps it can help us. Bring home. It's risky, but we haven't got a choice. When you're ready, picture Lilith in your mind.
You've killed Andariel?
Yes.
When you went to town to pick up Donan, like I'm about to do, did you walk all the way into the cathedral?
I did.
And you heard the sermon?
I did not listen to the sermon.
So you didn't come and see that this guy's here? God himself?
I did not. No, I just walked in and saw Donan. I did not see Inarius.
Inarius is giving a very long speech. Like, it's actually... He's explaining what's going to happen when he goes to hell. Like, what his battle plan is, and what he saw in the prophecy, and so forth.
Oh.
Because the interpretation of Rothma's prophecy that Lilith and Inarius each have are opposite interpretations. Okay, so now we have a slow section. So when I temper weapons, I can either temper, like in the 6 temper options, the middle one on top is what are called offensive tempers. Things like plus damage, berserking finesse, damage using one-handed weapons, and so forth. There are also things called weapon tempers, which can only be applied to weapons. They can't be applied to accessories, they can't be applied to jewelry, etc., etc. They can only be applied to weapons. One of them is called Elemental Surge. Elemental Surge interacts with Lucky Hit. So since you're new to the game, I'll explain how Lucky Hit works. Every attack type in the game has a base probability of having a Lucky Hit. So here you can see that the probability of a Lucky Hit in the case of... One second. Okay, so the base probability of Lucky Hit in the case of Lunging Strike, if you look at there, Lucky Hit chance 53%.
Okay.
When Lucky Hit procs, it looks at all of the Lucky Hit effects that can happen, and it rolls over that like pie chart of possible outcomes. So I've tempered it so that 53% of the time, Lucky Hit can happen. When Lucky Hit happens, there's a 40% chance that it does 3,600 lightning damage, or another 40% chance that it does 3,800 physical damage. So 53% of the time that I attack with Lunging Strike, Lucky Hit happens. 80% of that 53%, so an effective, like, 41.5%. 42.4% of the time that I hit with Lunging Strike, what ends up happening is I end up doing like 3,000 bonus damage. Given that my base attack damage is 300, that means that like 42% of the time, I randomly do 12 times my ordinary base damage. Okay. So, you'll see during the Andariel fight, I'll be attacking her, and some of my attacks will do like tiny slivers of her health, and then when it finally procs, her entire health bar will be deleted all at once. Like, you'll just see me go chunk, chunk, and then it procs, and then she dies. See what I mean?
Yeah. I'm also trying out the beginning levels of Last Epoch now that it's out of early access. To see how those early levels change.
Yeah. So yeah, these tempers are fucked up. You completely understand what I mean.
Yeah, you're
Rocket.
just 100% proc related, but when it procs, it procs.
Yes. So what that ends up meaning is that now attack speed is more valuable to me than base damage.
Yeah.
Because I don't care about applying my base damage to any boss in the game anymore. Like, at all. The only thing I care about now is, like, getting enough attacks in that I can get the proc to happen. Right? So, like, I no longer give a fuck at all about my base damage when I'm fighting bosses. When I'm fighting mobs, I care quite a bit. When I'm fighting a big boss, because I'm planning on having to hit them 20 or 30 times in order to be able to kill some of the more significant plot bosses, I'll just chunk them to death. Right? So, like, the Lilith fight, for example, I used to rely on, like, tempering perfect damage and layering all of my berserking and my crit chance and all my other stuff. Now it's just totally irrelevant. And the reason that I know this now, and that this temper idea came to me, is because there's a major Diablo 4 content creator named Darth Microtransaction, which is a hilarious username. He thinks that microtransactions are like the devil, so he named himself Darth Microtransaction because it's the evilest thing he could imagine.
Oh yeah, that's pretty great.
He's a great guy. He's a very friendly guy from Alaska. And he had he had a pretty modest following. And then when Diablo 4 came out, he started creating Diablo 4 content specifically. And he was one of the first people to sort of be a full-time D4 content creator. And so he built up a big audience when the game launched. Either way, now he has a really big audience. Like, he has 800 to 1,000 live viewers some of the time, which for Twitch is like enormous, right?
Yeah.
And he, as a consequence, he had played D3 all the way through. Like, he used to really love playing D3. He played it regularly for years, and he had done one playthrough of Diablo 2, but hadn't really touched it in a long time. And so he decided to play all of the Diablos in order, which is fascinating as a decision. And so when he was doing his like lore-based playthroughs, he wanted to like see the story of all the different games and whatever. He in his playthrough of Diablo 4, he was not speedrunning the game, he was just playing through casually. One second. Yeah, 28,000 crit, holy.
I can't do that.
He tempered this way instead of the way that I used to temper, and that's because he had been doing some like cheesy strat game break content with another Diablo 4 content creator, I believe.
Okay.
That other Diablo content creator is called Rax and Terex, and Rax.
I know that name.
Yeah, Rax does like challenge runs and stuff. So he doesn't do like the conventional speedrun.com speedrun categories, but he does do like Diablo 4. One second.
I haven't fought much since I was a young man. I've lost the grit for it.
Cool. Okay, if you want to talk about politics in my chat, that's welcome. I am not Brit. It's just you, me, and Mount hanging out.
I need more time.
Like, you're entirely welcome to talk about, like, the fact that the UK government does fucked up things to gay people and you hate it. Like, I have no problem with discussing that and providing audience for that. I don't care. Like, if you want to talk about trans healthcare in the UK, you're fucking welcome to, dog. I'm not happy with how my government treats people of marginalized identities either. It's not quite as fucked up as some of the stuff that's going on in the UK right now, but it's still not ideal.
I need more
So.
time.
Depending on what state you're in.
Yeah, well, I'm in California. Things are great here.
Yeah. I have a...
From the perspective of protecting people of marginalized groups, California's doing a great job. So.
I have a good friend who is into F trans in Arkansas.
Oof. Big sad.
Yeah.
Man, parliamentary systems are fucking wild. Like, the fact that your legislature and PM can't end up being from opposite parties is crazy. Like, let me put it this way. I would want a very activist legislature and a somewhat hands-off executive. Right? Like, that, as a scheme, the people who set the laws being very willing to change the laws in the interests of serving people is something that I would be strongly in favor of. One second. One second, I gotta do...
I can't equip this.
It's not working.
I need more time. I need time.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little bit less talkative for the rest of the run, because I'm on really good pace and I might be able to do some really sick stuff here, so.
No, you're good, man. You're good. I'm actually getting ready to head out myself because I got to get ready to go pick up my sister from the airport in a little bit. So,
Nice. How's your family holding up?
you know, hanging in there, hanging in there.
Yeah.
So, but I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah.
Anyways, I got to go.
Yep. Alright, talk to you later, man. Peace.
I'm not ready yet.
Good. Make haste. The Harada tires of waiting. Set this one's gift in the pot to your team.
I simply think this is a waste of your time.
Do you see the vision? For the swap to call out to your soul and draw what festers from it, like poison from a wound.
What?
Lilith is the true friend, not lies.
I know yourself.
My fate is tied to yours. If she devours me, essentially. But you still have a chance to stop her. What if I open a portal for you out of this world? Never do I from the alliance. He is their sin to bear. You and I together to stop Lilith.
I know who my enemy is. My friends, take me back to them.
The day of reckoning will come, and your true friends take the portal back to your allies. If Lilith prevails, you only have yourself.
I'm not ready yet.
I don't know yet.
Let us begin. Mix the good cigar in the pot. And the fire. Turn the wheel twice. No more, no less.
Label will protect LGBTQ plus and disabled people, making all existing strains of hate crime an aggravated offense. Oh, excuse me, Oh. Oh, interesting. Okay.
I need more time.
What a lonesome place to come sleep another Saturday.
I need time to do that.
Only two kinds of people come looking for a routine. Those running away from trouble, and those running toward it. Which kind are you, I wonder? Never heard.
Go to Engavana. They run around.
I need more time. The door goes up. I need time to do that. I need more time. I need time to do that. I need more time. I'm not ready yet.
Yeah, I'll admit, some of the speech-related laws in the UK are not things I'm a fan of. Like, I'm very much... Like, obviously I don't want people to say hateful things, but I don't like the idea that people can be jailed for saying things.
This must be it.
Good, you found the answer. just as you do, wanderer.
The old man is full of secrets like our thief, Elias.
There's no way to do this time. And it's wounded now. Or is it telling us to wound it?
Clever thinking. So, who will start to see if you will?
Look at that. Ruthless. Flippant.
That's the way to shall not hang from us. Just kill these things before we kill them.
I must wait.
So many come seeking answers. So many fail. Will you die like these souls? With a question still on your lips?
Old drunk. The judge of what is real. Yeah, I hear you, Rocket. I just... Like, I completely understand the... Especially in the case of trans people, how particular types of hate speech are very directly correlated with instigations of violence. I just... I worry about what defining open speech against a particular group as a criminal offense can mean.
I know you have.
Like, I understand that that's certainly a slippery slope sort of an argument, and that it's a fallacy.
Our path is scaled.
But I still,
This is what I saw in the
you know,
revelations.
I still have some pause about what it means from the perspective of the long-term stability of political debate. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that people should, like, say horrible, violent things.
Is that
To our Rexton.
What do you mean it's out of literally everyone's hands? Like, it is certainly the case that free speech laws in the United States allow you to say anything that isn't a direct call for violence.
I'm not.
So, like, it's very different in the political climate of the United States, where the right to free speech is sacrosanct.
I need more time.
Can you see the coffin? Any sign of it?
I'm not ready.
punishments are too severe, but we can't just let it go. I don't know that punishment... Okay, have you ever heard of the justice triad? There's this idea that, like, what is the point of a... So, like, what are the possible purposes for sending someone to prison? Well, you can think that punishment is one of the purposes, but there are at least two others. What those two others are, if you give me a second to do some fast movement layering here. One of them is rehabilitation, right? If someone commits a horrible crime, we want them to be able to return to being a functional member of society without recidivism. You can also think that there's some element of protection for society. If someone's a violent criminal, we want to, at least until they're rehabilitated, separate them from society to reduce the risk of people being harmed in repeat incidents, right? But then there's also at least some element beyond that where you go punishment, separation from society, rehabilitation, and I just don't think that the most important one of those is punishment. And in fact, it's been shown pretty repeatedly that, like, even as far as the death penalty, adding additional punishment is not a significant deterrent to new crimes. And so, as a consequence, I think that the mitigation that criminalizing certain forms of speech does is not meaningful in terms of resolving the ideological debate around certain marginalized identities. Like, I don't think there should be a debate, but there certainly is one, right? I think it should be uncontroversial that gay marriage should be legal and people should be able to, take HRT and so on and so forth. But given that there is a debate, I think that criminalizing participation in the debate is unlikely to actually change minds. And substantial, research indicates that additional marginal punishment increase is not successful at preventing additional crimes. Like, adding the death penalty to something, in fact, does not make people less likely to do it, which is sort of crazy, right? And in some sense, I think that in the case of free speech regulations in particular, there's some additional concern that if you criminalize certain forms of free speech, then you risk additionally radicalizing people, because the idea that you should be able to say what you want sounds so eminently reasonable to people. Yeah, the UK prison system is definitely better and more equitable than the United States. No prison system is perfect, but a lot of the wealthier Scandinavian nations are much better at navigating the aspects of the justice triad that are non-punitive. So obviously that's only possible if you're like Norway and you have a small population which is mostly urban, mostly highly educated, and mostly progressive, in addition to having, national wealth because of their oil fund, so they have the facility to provide, high quality separation from society facilities. But I think that in other, major and developed economies, we can certainly do better. I certainly think that, for example, the United States, which sort of leads the way in terms of being punitive, we have solitary confinement, which the UN and The Hague define as being torture. So I certainly think that the US could bear some improvement on this topic. So, I wish that, to some extent, I think that the French populace has. Oh yeah. Well, it's not so much that we spend too much on law enforcement, so much as that we conceive of the only avenue for law enforcement being, like, weaponized police. Right? Like, if we were spending a lot on law enforcement, but that included community mental health services and, you know, a bunch of other things that we aren't currently doing, that would be eminently more reasonable than what we are doing.
The tree demands that you pay.
And so do I.
I love two-shotting Elias.
I am here.
I'm not ready yet.
I fucked up.
I need more time.
Not getting that waypoint is big sad.
I need time to do that.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true. I just think that in the United States, if we had a reallocation of what we currently call law enforcement spending to instead also be community health services outreach and various other community programs, Neighborhood Watch, the Institution of Higher Quality Education, job training programs, drug abatement programs, etc., that would be a meaningful improvement over what we do have. Right, so...
More time.
Lilith has been strange.
Yeah, it would be both more effective and more human, right? Like, So, I mean, there's a lot that could be said about police reform in most countries, but especially in the United States. Like, we're certainly doing a spectacularly bad job compared to the capabilities that we should have. So, oh well, you know.
I was fired by
These corpses, displayed so proudly. There's nothing of the light in this.
Hear that? They mention Lord of Hatred.
Mephisto.
Same as before.
Alright, I'm gonna try it. Alright, didn't work. Always worth trying those things. You don't get a ton of opportunities to do so. Yeah, I lost about a minute and a half on that last split, so right now I'm on pace for a 2:59.00. Current world record is 3:01.19. The more important benchmark than world record is getting sub 3. I think that I've left probably about 3 or 4 minutes worth of execution on the table. So certainly there will be a time and a place where someone does substantially better than me and is able to improve this. But I want to be the first person to cross that sub 3 milestone, you know?
Feel that? The ground shook.
Yeah, so this is a really bad split. I spent a bunch of time doing optional tempers that I didn't need to do, so that's what I get. It's alright though. We'll probably still world record, and it just means that we can rerun to get a faster time.
I'm not ready.
We may have lost actually more than a minute and a half. It's looking more like 2.5 minutes. That's okay though. I'm pretty frustrated about it, but we still have a decent shot at sub 3, so can't be too mad. Like, this Duriel pace split is going to be the one that tells us sort of where we are. if you see the big counter number turn from green to red, that's when you know that we're off pace. You can also look at the number called current pace, and that'll tell you sort of where we are. From here, we have about 45 seconds until we kill Duriel, so we're sort of on 3 hours flat and plus 30 seconds pace right now. The number you're looking for is probably that you want to do splits, not exclamation point world record. Yeah, so we need to pick up 21 seconds, but we can do that pretty easily. Also, some of those are out of date because some of my records have been updated and I haven't updated that stream element thing, but the base fact that I hold all the world records is true. Okay. Now the really hard part of the run. I hold every single speedrun campaign world record for every single class, many by margins of over an hour. So... the only category where there's, like, even someone close to me is Necro Campaign, where my best time is like a 2:53 and someone else has a 3:31.
Looks like the rear guard was in way. The others must have pushed ahead. To keep us out, or to keep someone in.
We'll know soon. Stand back, and I'll dispel the flames. Tony still play the key. Demons!
Yeah. Proc, you bastard. Thank you.
I'm not ready.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at the video game. It's also the case that there just aren't that many competitive speedrunners of Diablo 4. We're gonna do a little bit of showboating here. This is completely unnecessary. This is totally useless and completely unnecessary, but we're doing it anyways. Yeah, but I want to be a pretty goral.
The battle is not over. The father is hunting.
Have you considered that being a pretty goral is important to me?
Yes, but
I'm not ready.
No, I haven't.
watch out! Something's bombarding us. Help me put up the bulwark.
This is not over yet. I will draw out our suffering.
How's it going, Medusa? Nice to meet you. Glad to see that you're doing well today. Oh, Medusa meet Rocket. Rocket meet Medusa. Medusa is a variety streamer who plays Call of Duty, but recently completed her first playthrough of Diablo 4. And Rocket is a friend of mine from another Diablo 4 streamers community. To answer your question, are we on pace? Yeah. Yeah, we're on pace.
What happened?
She's already gone.
What's now?
I have an idea. I will prepare the site aside.
The eye. What do you mean?
We must find.
Donan.
Foolish of you to use the eye again.
What do you mean I wasted time just to brag?
Where am I?
Bro, if you don't think being a very pretty girl is a priority, then you and I have different priorities. Listen, man, I wasted like 8 seconds, okay? It's not that much time. And look at how pretty I am. I have the cutest outfit on.
But only if you choose to.
Listen, man, being a very pretty girl is extremely important. Bro, that's what I'm saying. But listen, the women in my life, for some reason, don't think 8 seconds is a lot. And I'm trying to tell them 8 seconds in heaven is better than no seconds in heaven.
Ever since you drank my blood, I have been a part of you.
Exactly. What could Medusa understands? What could possibly be a bigger priority when speedrunning for a world record than being a very pretty girl? Like, look at how cute this outfit is. This is so cute. Flexing my little abs and stuff. I'm looking so cute.
Through a child's eyes.
Like, sure. Could I have gone faster in the speedrun? Yes. But, like, I already have the world record by a margin of like an hour and a half. I'm not really worried about anyone catching me. I would really like if I had competition, but I don't. So instead, I could meme a little bit and put it way up there on the leaderboards. And it's going to take a long, like, other people are going to need to study the route for a while before I get caught, right? So even if someone started speedrunning day and night to try and beat this record, it would take them at least a week or two before they just had the game knowledge to be able to do it.
Elias thought I was the one to save Sanctuary.
Bro, it's my chat. The fuck you treat everything like it's Brit's chat. It is not Brit's chat in here. You're allowed to say what you want, dog. I don't think me or Medusa are gonna get upset about you, like, being edgy on the internet. She's a Call of Duty streamer, bro. Like, I'm pretty fucking confident that we're not gonna out edgelord the Call of Duty community.
Okay, the mountains. This is where Mephisto found me.
I thought I sensed that old wolf skulking around. You would follow Mephisto.
I don't serve either of you.
You've thrown your life away for nothing. Mephisto's fate is already sealed.
Nothing is sealed yet. That's why you're still talking.
You ungrateful worth.
The sightless eye is the soul. Take it and set yourself free.
Listen, man. I don't think anyone is gonna get upset about an edgy trans joke made among this particular set of 3 people. Like, we are all obviously allies. Like, you could chill. Plus, there's no one else here.
I'm not ready.
Like, the number of times that people have incorrectly thought that I was an egg are just so high. Also, shout out to whoever's reviewing the VOD, and we'll have to look up what an egg is.
You've arrived before Lilith, but she is close.
Ooh, we're moving so fast, we're really testing the limits of our,
Isn't right. Mephisto led you to this moment. We're in his realm. I really get to know what he wants. Between him and women, he is great evil.
You want to use the story here?
Think carefully. That path will lead to
257.48 is what it's looking like. Okay, so that's a world record by a margin of 3.5 minutes. That's cool. Let me go ahead and edit the layout so I can get the nice little screen snip.
My mother was with you.
All right, cool. So that's a world record. I might rerun it just because I think I can get an even better rundown. But because I made like a 3-minute mistake there in the middle. But that's the world record.